All right, man, peace. So the quote unquote hashtag Me Too movement, which spurred from the alleged treatment of women in Hollywood by Harvey Weinstein and other Hollywood executives, has now metastasized into the hashtag Time's Up movement. And many of the most prominent witches in Hollywood, aka actresses, have promised to wear all black. They've also promised to form a confederacy of females that are going to stop any form of sexual harassment in Hollywood. As I stated, they have informed the public and the media that they're going to wear all black to many of the award ceremonies. And as I've been stating to you brothers for the longest time, the hashtag Me Too movement and many of the more ardent feminists and feminazis in the entertainment industry are only using this story to promote the veneration of the mother goddess, which is why I'm making this video here, because this segment was very revelatory. As you can see in the opening of this segment, they have a statue here known as the Statue of Freedom, which is in Washington, D.C., sitting atop the Capitol building. The so-called Statue of Freedom actually depicts an ancient Roman goddess known as Libertas, Libertas, which also became known in its modern incarnation not only as the Statue of Freedom on top of Capitol Hill, but also the Statue of Liberty. It depicts the mother goddess. But you know what? I'm going to let them talk about it, and of course, I'm going to chime in. You see that? That statue's on top of Capitol Hill. Now, in ancient Rome, the goddess Libertas, spelled L as in Larry, I, B as in boy, E-R-T-A-S. That statue sat on top of Aventine Hill in ancient Rome. A as in Apple, V as in Victor, E-N-T-I-N-E. That goddess represented so-called freedom. That was one of the many manifestations of the same mother goddess. The mother goddess, by the way, brothers, represents two historical personages. That's Semiramis and also Eve. Why is that? Because Eve is the flesh and blood human being who helped to bring Satan's ideologies into the world. She brought about death, or she was the vessel that was used to bring about death into the world. So that is why she is commemorated by the Luciferians in the form of the celebration of the mother goddess, because remember, they are in protest, they are in rebellion against the Most High, as was Cush and Nimrod and Semiramis when they built the Tower of Babel in Genesis, the 10th chapter. All right. Some other names for the mother goddess are Minerva, Rhea, Mount. In ancient Egypt, she was known as Mount, Isis, so on and so forth. Many, many, many different names. But all these various names are not different goddesses. They are different aspects of the same two females, either Eve or Semiramis. And oftentimes the histories of those two females are combined or amalgamated. Okay? You have many people talking about, oh, well, this God and that God. No, all the gods, quote unquote, are just different aspects of the same three people. That being Cush, Semiramis, and Nimrod. Now, sometimes there will be composites or amalgamations of other people like Adam or Noah, but for the most part, it's just those three.
A new initiative led by some of Hollywood's most powerful women is taking on sexual harassment across the country. The coalition called Time's Up was announced yesterday and includes more than 300 prominent women in entertainment.
Now look at this. You see this producer, Shonda Rhimes. You'll know her as she's one of the more prominent producers and casters in Hollywood. When I say casters, I mean spellcaster. She's a witch. All these females here are witches, believe it or not. In order for you to become affluent in Hollywood, you have to become a witch, whether you're male or female. Now you'll see, I'm not sure what ceremony that they're at. It's most likely some female ceremony. And when I say them, I'm talking about America Ferrera and Ava Longoria. They seem to be at the same event in these photos, but maybe they're at a different event. Who knows? Either way, Ava Longoria, just to the left of her photo, there's a triangle. The triangle, or the delta symbol as it's called, is the symbol for Demeter, which is another name for the mother goddess, right? That triangle represents the doorway, or the portal from the physical world to the spiritual world. All right. So the triangle has always been used to represent the mother goddess, or as she's known in the scriptures as the whore of Babylon.
The group vows to fight what it calls systemic inequality and injustice in the workplace, from Hollywood to blue-collar workplaces. A legal defense fund will help less privileged women and men protect themselves from sexual misconduct.
And let me say this. With everything that I'm saying, is it okay for a female to be the victim of sexual misconduct, sexual harassment, things of that nature? No, it's not. But do I believe that this movement is truly based in trying to make sure that women and men in Hollywood are protected? No, I do not. I believe that the point of this movement is to put women in an advantageous position over men in Hollywood. And just in general, because they want that to be a trickle-down effect in overall society. Once again, all those people in Hollywood are witches, whether they be men or women. The men are warlocks, the women are witches. And many of the higher up females, the more exalted females, are being used by the highest level men in entertainment to bring about some social engineering, because the highest level men are pansexuals. They do not want any form of masculine energy to be extolled on a nationwide or worldwide basis. They don't want that imagery anymore. That's why you guys, like, I had cats that come in my comments talking about they saw the last Star Wars movie and it was terrible. Brothers, I went to see the Force Awakens, and while I was sitting in the theater, this was when did it come out? Back in 2015. When I was watching, I said, this is a piece of shit movie. And basically all it was a female version of Star Wars A New Hope that came out in 1977. All the characters in the film that were of any power were women, and if you notice, none of them had any insecurities or mental issues or mental fragility whatsoever. They were all authoritative, and all the men in the film were confused, whether it was Han and Leia's son or even Han Solo, who they bring back a legendary character like Han Solo and basically make him a deadbeat dad on the run. That film was so pathetic, but it was so transparent what they were doing. I told myself I would never go to see another Star Wars movie in the theater again. So when cats tell me about how bad this last one was, it doesn't surprise me at all. Okay? Not even a little bit. But once again, is it okay to harass or assault women in Hollywood just because they're trying to be actresses? No, it's not. But most of those bras are whores anyway. And I don't care who doesn't like that. Most of them are just either sluts or whores. When you look at the genesis of Hollywood, they got most of their actresses from the prostitution circles, from the various prostitution rings that were around the Hollywood area. That's where most of your initial actresses in Hollywood, that's where they got them from, believe it or not.
CBS News contributor Jodi Cantor is here. Her reporting, of course, for the New York Times helped break the Harvey Weinstein story last fall. Jodi, we were just talking about what a sign of the times it is when you're the celebrity in the green room. Well, how the world...
Yeah, she's the celebrity. Hey, brothers, what did I tell you about the so-called Me Too movement? It's really just the revenge of the ugly bitches. You don't see any drop-dead gorgeous females jumping on top of rooftops and screaming out about how they've been the victims of this and the victims of that. You're mostly going to see very unattractive women and older women, women who are not getting attention, who are going to talk about how they were harassed 35 years ago, because that's the only way that they can get attention now. So now this female gets to be the belle of the ball, right? She gets attention, which is something that she's not going to get on an everyday basis, because let's be for real, she has a face for radio.
world has changed.
No, don't say that.
Since your report came out October 5th.
I was just doing my job as an investigative reporter.
Well, what incredible work you've done, and obviously it's evolved now to this Time's Up. How did that originate?
So after we and others reported on these revelations with Harvey Weinstein, but really throughout Hollywood women began organizing informally. They were gathering in each other's living rooms. And what they say is that they felt the competition between them that has always existed melt away somewhat. And they shared the...
Hey, brothers. Don't I always state on this channel that for the most part, when the female comes together, when they unify, it's only in the spirit of trying to overthrow men. See, what male hegemony has done is it's given these females an excuse for why they are so cantankerous with each other. They try to use the excuse of it's men that have separated us and have pitted us against each other. I know for a fact many of you brothers have come across females who've told you, I don't have any female friends. I prefer male friends. Women are jealous of me. Because that's the nature of the female, to be catty. They're trying to make it as if the feeling of competition that they felt amongst each other as Hollywood actresses was because they've all been fighting for this, they've all been fighting under the inspiration of the male power structure against each other. No, y'all have just been fighting because y'all are catty and petty. And that's just the nature that's intrinsic to most of these liberal women. The females who want to shirk off their natural gender-based role. Because when your mind is not occupied on what you should be doing for your husband and your child, it's going to be occupied on how you can get attention. The main way that you can get attention is to overly sexualize yourself, which puts you in competition with other women who are doing the same. And that's what Hollywood auditions are all about. Who has the nicest titties, who has the nicest ass, and who's willing to put out the most. So right now, these females in Hollywood are galvanized to bring about as much chaos as possible. As usual, they're not thinking ahead. They don't understand that if they do try to re-engineer Hollywood and make everything all about women, the revenue is going to dive precipitously. Because people are not going to the movies to see that bullshit. So what they're going to have to do is what they've been doing, which is to try to take male movie franchises like Star Wars and other movies that always have been geared towards men and try to recast them with women. This is why you see they've done this with Star Wars. They did it with Ghostbusters. They're doing it now with Ocean's 11 because they can't come up with their own ideas because they know that people are not interested, for the most part, they're not interested in female stories. All right. They have those type of stories already. They're called soap operas. People are not going to go to movies and pay to watch women cry in a circle and bitch and complain like they do on television, on soap operas and on talk shows. So they have to take plot lines that were geared towards men and recast them with women. That's why you see it now. Every action movie stars a woman now. Now they got this new one with, what's this broad that looks like a frog? Taraji Henson. Now she's Jason Bourne now. I mean, give me a fucking break. If I was the head of the CIA and I wanted Taraji P. Henson to come back and report back into the office, I would just send her, a picture to her camera phone of the nicest weave in America. I guarantee you, she coming to the office to pick up that weave, right? Allegedly.
These deep personal stories, some of which have not been told publicly, and they found so many common strands, and they decided that together they wanted to use this window to actually change the business that they feel in many ways has kind of betrayed them.
And this group doesn't just...
The business has betrayed them. That is victimization propaganda. The entertainment industry cannot betray you unless it promised you something, expressly promised you something that it did not fulfill. The only thing that the entertainment industry promised any of these females is exposure and money. They're all rich. All these Hollywood actresses are overpaid, as a matter of fact, because the only one of them that's bankable is Jennifer Lawrence. None of these other females are making any real money for Hollywood.
just impact and focus on Hollywood, as we mentioned. These are women and men in various fields and in various different ethnicities and various income brackets.
Probably the most interesting and ambitious part of this effort is that these top Hollywood women are trying to reach across the economic divide and say, we have a common experience with low-paid women, and we're going to devote some of our resources and our privilege to helping you as well.
Which is where part of the Ford story came in, and we were talking about the economic.
Let me say this, for a lot of you cats who work in corporate America, many of these programs are going to trickle down to you. This is why I tell you, brothers, do not even speak to these females unless it's the woman that you're dealing with in a relationship, or, the females in your family. Because what they're going to start doing is they're going to start to try to pick arguments and fights with you in the workplace to try to get under your skin, because they're going to feel empowered. All right. The woman essentially is a creature who likes to follow trends. If the new trend is that they're getting all the glory, that they're empowered, they're going to try to flex on you. Right. That's why it says improve laws, employment agreements, and corporate policies. That means that the energy in the workplace in corporate America is going to become more and more feminine. That means more cattiness, more arguments, more pettiness. Females trying to make you think that you have to appeal to their emotions, things of that nature. All right. So, but it's good, because it's about time that many of these males in America wake up. And the only way that they're going to wake up is when things are put in their face and they're made uncomfortable.
Climate, and you mentioned the Legal Defense Fund as well. I mean, that's part of this, is helping folks who wouldn't ordinarily be able to protect themselves.
Right. Part of the goal of these wealthy women in Hollywood is to provide funds for lower paid women to protect themselves from harassment by using legal resources that are really expensive. It can be really expensive to come forward about sexual harassment in various ways, and so they're hoping to provide some sort of security and resources for doing that.
Jody, they want to change the landscape broadly.
Yeah.
One piece of that that's pretty ambitious is changing the boardrooms, leadership. Do you think that this initiative can push more women into leadership roles? Well, reconfigure that power balance?
Look, the only thing that's going to push not just women, but anyone into leadership positions, which basically means that you're entrusted with a corporate structure, that you understand how to make money. That's all it's going to be about. It's not going to be about gender. So the average woman has trouble balancing her checkbook. This is just reality. Is that every woman? No. Obviously, you have exceptions to the rule. You have women who are CEOs. You have women who are financial analysts. You have women who are accountants, so on and so forth. But the average woman has trouble even balancing her checkbook. Women in general are not good with money. So you're not going to make people or make trustees and boards of trustees, etc. You're not going to force them into hiring women as CEOs and things of that nature unless they have a very, very firm grasp on leadership abilities and how to make the company more money. Period. Is going to be all about what appeals to the masses and to society at large, which is what business is about. What is going to make us money? How do we market to our constituency?
The first question is in Hollywood. The role of agencies in Hollywood has been problematic in this whole discussion because, as we reported, agencies often knew about Harvey Weinstein and would send the women into the hotel rooms anyway, and these were their clients they're supposed to be protecting. So agencies in some ways are on the defensive right now. And one thing that this...
Well, they're not that much on the defensive, because you had this story about this guy, Adam Bennett, and Terry Crews, and no, that story had disappeared. You notice how quickly that story disappeared, brothers? I told you, this movement was never about men getting harassed. It was never about what was happening with the little boys. You see, the Kevin Spacey story has disappeared, but they're still talking about Harvey Weinstein because it's all about the women. Now, look at this crew of females up here. Donna Langley, Universal Pictures executive. I'm not sure exactly who that is, but I'm sure that she most likely got her job by putting her mouth on the right rod. No disrespect. Gloria Steinem, activist. Really, she's a CIA operative, for those of you who don't know. She was the head of Miss Magazine and also was in charge with She's also in charge with indoctrinating Alice Walker. For those of you who don't know, she was the female who wrote The Color Purple, in which the black man was demonized. And The Color Purple is also an allusion to her veneration of the sun god and the mother goddess. Alice Walker is part of that mother goddess cult, along with Oprah Winfrey and many of these other closet lesbians in Hollywood and in general, that they're trying to make the leadership of the black community. Ashley Judd, that's a quickly expiring former sex pot in Hollywood. Like I stated, you'll see that these women start to rant and rave about unequal rights for women when they start to get old or when they're unattractive. Uzo Aduba, no disrespect, but next. Kerry Washington, no, she makes her money by basically playing a concubine to Caucasian men, not just in the show on ABC, but also throughout her movie career. She's always been very, very eager to play the consort for Caucasian males on television, in the movies or on television. And Meryl Streep, another one who's a great actress, but she's expiring as well. Reese Witherspoon is a very, very angry actress in Hollywood, always complaining about chauvinism in Hollywood, but she's been by far one of the most overpaid actors in Hollywood for the last 15 years. She hasn't been in a good movie probably since Election. And I don't even know how long ago that was, but she's still getting $20 million a movie. So what she's complaining about, I don't know. Shonda Rhimes is the writer of most of the television shows on ABC that entail black women being able to sleep with Caucasian men. Constance Wu, I'm not sure who that is. Who the hell knows? One of you brothers could fill me in on that. And Ava DuVernay, for those of you who don't know, that's Oprah's boo. That's her new boo. That's the one, allegedly. Everything I'm saying is alleged, all right? This is the chick who replaced Gayle King as Oprah's main chick. Okay? She's the one who directed this movie, Selma. And, you know, that movie was actually supposed to be directed by Steve McQueen, the agent out of Britain, the pansexual out of Britain who directed 12 Years a Slave. Now, I tell you, brothers, you know, the rabbit hole is deep with this shit, man. Both Steve McQueen and Ava DuVernay, one of the main production companies that gets their films distributed is a production company owned by Brad Pitt called Plan B Entertainment. Now, why is it called Plan B? Because Brad Pitt is a eugenicist. He's one of the population control actors in Hollywood, aka agents like Matt Damon and George Clooney. That's why they hooked him up with, what's this chick name? Angelina Jolie, who's the daughter of that actor. I'm trying to remember what this guy's name is. John Voight, that's his name. And John Voight, if you notice, John Voight always plays a CIA agent or some type of person with political connections in these films. So I have no doubt that Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie's relationship was arranged. The point being, his company is called Plan B, and Plan B, as we all know, are the whore pills, the so-called birth control pills. And Brad Pitt produced 12 Years a Slave, which is, as we know, was just a psyop to once again reinforce the slave narrative. Also, the black woman being raped by a Caucasian man narrative. Ava DuVernay was chosen to direct Selma after Steve McQueen was supposed to direct it, but for whatever reason they stopped him. I'm guessing because his vision for the film was most likely so over the top that they say, you know what, let's bring Ava in. But anyway, like I was saying, Ava DuVernay, she's also a high level female Mason, Ava DuVernay. Okay, so, and Steve McQueen is one of those guys who's the knight. What's the term that they use? The knight of the British Empire. That's what it was. And Ava DuVernay, as I already stated, that's Oprah's boo. And she's another one of these liberal black female, pansexual black females in Hollywood who tries to act like she's in favor of so-called black people when she's really just in favor of exalting the black female. Because once again, they're trying to set up the lesbian black female to be the head of the quote-unquote black community. That's what the Black Lives Matter movement is about. Okay? So you have to always watch, and I'm talking to you brothers, you have to keep your eyes on the so-called liberal black female, because most of them are pansexuals, if not lesbians. That's why they had Spike Lee reinvigorate that she's got to have it bullshit, because that's all it's about.
This group is asking for is much more parity in all sorts of Hollywood leadership structures, including at the agencies. And so part of the question is, 2 years from now, is the leadership of Hollywood going to look different?
And we've got the Golden Globes coming up this Sunday. Needless to say, it'll be quite different from past Golden Globes awards. And there's talk about a lot of women in solidarity wearing black. But there is some controversy about it as well from some who say that's not enough.
Well, the reason why they're going to wear all black is because they're witches. They worship Saturn. All right. The color for the god Saturn, who is Osiris, is black. The color for Osiris was black. Okay. This is why Catholic priests wear all black. Or at least that's one of their garbs. If you notice, they mostly wear black, white, and red. Okay, because those are the checkerboard colors, the Masonic colors, right? Or really the Luciferian colors. I look, some people use all the Masonic stuff. Masonry is just the watered down version of the Luciferian rituals that were implemented by Cush and his son Nimrod. Okay, but that's why they're wearing all black. All those women are witches, brothers. All right, and like I was talking about with Ava DuVernay, you notice in Selma, she cast this guy David Oyelowo as Martin Luther King. You'll also notice that David Oyelowo was in, I believe he was in The Help, which was directed by, what's this guy, Lee Daniels. All right, so you're talking about Lee Daniels and Steve McQueen, who also directed this faggot movie Moonlight, where they exalted homosexuality, which also was produced by Brad Pitt, Plan B Entertainment. Once again, whenever you're talking about the liberal Negro, there's always a liberal Caucasian standing behind them in the shadows, man. Okay? But you're going to see these bras all wearing black at the Golden Globes. That's a ritual. They're all witches.
Well, I think this is just going to be a fascinating award show to watch with a very different dynamic than in past years, because you've got a lot of ingredients here, right? This is the first time that Hollywood has really convened publicly since the Weinstein and the other revelations. You've got the red carpet, which is pretty retro from a gender point of view. Women are paraded down the red carpet. They're expected to look beautiful, to smile, usually not to say much, et cetera, et cetera. So what Ava Longoria said to my colleague Cara Buckley in the paper, in the story that was published yesterday, she said, we're not willing to just be ornaments this year. We're not.
Yeah, once again, Ava Longoria, another quickly expiring former sex pot in Hollywood. See, this is really just the revenge of, and I tell you brothers all the time, this is the revenge of the ugly bitches and the old broads. They're frustrated that they're no longer relevant in Hollywood, and their brains are so feeble. They think that people are going to gravitate to this angry bitch bullshit that they have planned, where they're going to stand on a red carpet, which goes back to ancient Kemet, by the way. I mentioned this before. All these award ceremonies go back to ancient Kemet and ancient Babylon. They think people are going to want to see a bunch of angry 40-year-old bitches frowning into the camera talking about we're not taking it anymore. People just going to start turning off their TV. Because once again, many of these liberal females, they don't think according to the economic system and what they have invested. If they want to cripple their own careers, they can do so. Very much like the NFL. All these guys who were protesting, all it did was take money out of their pocket. Didn't change anything.
Willing to go out and sell this award show without asking any of the big questions about power in Hollywood. And then you've got the question of what people will actually say when they're asked about these issues.
It'll be fascinating to watch. There is going to be a lot of black on that red carpet, is what I would imagine. We will be watching it carefully.
Now look at these broads. Normal agents of chaos. There's going to be a lot of black. I can't wait to see these men get put in positions where they have to answer for what they've done. Including my boyfriend from high school who dumped me on my prom night. Oh boy. These broads be mad for 40 years. Come on TV. Harvey Weinstein tickled my coochie 45 years ago. I'm still mad about it.
Jody Cantor, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Coast Guard is...
But anyway, this is just a very interesting segment. It's going to be interesting to see what they have planned. Not so much at this little silly award ceremony, but just in general, what's going to be the next phase of this attempt at engineering the masses of the people through Hollywood. Once again, brothers, when they talk about these affluent actresses, and they talk this chick Jody Cantor talked about how they all met in some actress's house. They're really talking about they were really there to engage in a seance, and most likely try to cast a spell to gain some power in Hollywood. Because believe me, behind the scenes, they are all witches. Okay? And keep your eyes on that chick, Ava DuVernay. They have a lot of plans for her because she's already given Oprah what she wants, which is her coochie. Okay? So she'll be working with people like Brad Pitt. She'll come on TV and try to front like she's so pro-black, but it's really just a tactic to elevate the standing of the black lesbian. Like I state, they use you black men as foot soldiers, as infantry in these strategies like Black Lives Matter and the so-called black empowerment movement. They're only using you on the front lines as foot soldiers. Once they get what they want, they're going to cast you aside. All right? But anyway, peace.